Hey, the little blue
Sorry.
bars come on to say we're live. Today is Tuesday, the 18th of December, 2018. We've had a few days off and we are back today. Flat Earth Dude's here. Patricia's going to join, and we've got Paul on the plane.
Thanks for having me, Karen. It's another lovely day on Sun and Moon Family United. I see.
Yeah, I wish the sun was shining. It's been raining here all day. Unlike Flat Earth Dude, who's got glorious sunshine.
I do. It's very warm here. Hey, thanks for having us on, Karen.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, Flat Earth Dude, as you know. Yeah, so what's the weather like for you then, Paul? Not so nice.
It's changing by the minute right now. It was kind of rainy, windy this morning, but now it's kind of cleared up a little bit. It's still windy, but I see some blue sky, and it's just kind of changing by the minute over here. Moderate temperatures.
Hey, and
No complaints.
Are you getting ready for Flatmas Day? Can't call it Christmas Day anymore, can you? Flatmas Day, or other people have other names, but
I still call it Christmas. I mean, that's what it is. Once you realize the history and where the traditions come from and all that, obviously you see it differently. But at the end of the day, I mean, I still celebrate with my family, and we enjoy the time together. And it's giving and sharing, lots of hugs and handshakes. I'm not going to ever give that up. I'm sorry.
That
sounds good to me. It's what Flatmas Day, whatever you want to call it, should be all
exactly.
About love and getting together and stuff. So, I haven't talked to you since you were at the conference.
Oh gosh, it was a whirlwind. I was coming from Ireland directly from, and my days and nights were screwed up because of the time change, and then we had a kind of a last minute snafu with the presentation that Noxie and I were planning, and so another sleepless night, two sleepless nights in a row. Then we had to present. It went by fast. It went by really quickly. It's kind of a blur.
Probably a bit more tougher though with the jet laggy thing, all that on it.
It's not as tough for me. I don't know what it is for you guys, but going east, like when I'm in the States and go to Ireland, it takes me, a good 4 or 5 days to kind of start getting my biorhythms in order so I can stay awake during the day and get a decent night's sleep. But coming back, I recover a little bit quicker for some reason. So it was only like 2 days. That's just how I work. I don't know. Everybody probably has a different perspective on it.
Oh yeah, because I was thinking about it like I was doing it, because it's the other way around for you, isn't it? We gain and then we lose, and then you lose and then you gain.
Yeah, having the gain is helpful in recovering, for sure. And it's about an 8-hour difference, so it's not like going to, Asia or something like that from the States, but which would be a complete probably flop of the day and the night. But it's still significant enough, and I'm an old guy. I need my beauty rest.
You're an old guy. You're still a young man. Anyway, so at the conference, what was your highlight then?
Oh, it's the people. It's always going to be the people. So many folks that I had met in Raleigh the year before, Raleigh, North Carolina, in the first conference. And then spending a year, talking and sharing and collaborating with all of those people over the course of a year, and then it's kind of like a family reunion, and that's kind of what these are turning into. At least for me, it's time to catch up with friends, and we talk on a regular basis. A lot of us, we get to share and collaborate and whatever, but it's just extra special then when you can sit down and have a meal or a beer or have a cup of coffee or whatever. There's nothing like it. There's no other place I'd rather be, than hanging out with friends like that. It's just an absolutely wonderful experience. And there's two. Speaking of conferences, there's 2 coming up in Europe in September 2019. So I encourage everybody to get there. I'm planning on attending both of them if all goes as planned. So hopefully I get to meet some new folks.
Wow, are you? Are you going to speak or just be a person at the conference?
I'm not allowed to say.
Ah. Anyway, so your presentation at the conference was about gravity.
The theory of, yes.
Do you want to talk a bit about that then?
Yeah, sure. Well, I can tell you what it was going to be and then what it turned out to be. I mean, first of all, to set the context, my co-host over on Truth Frequency Radio, Stephen Knox, call him Noxie, he's been doing some field work around studying this theory and real life application of the theory and testing some of the concepts and ideas that go along with it. And so he's obviously the brains behind the whole idea, the whole presentation that we came up with. I've helped him out with a few experiments, remotely. I have a swimming pool in the backyard, so that kind of came in handy, and I was able to do some things in the pool and kind of film it. And I haven't seen if any of that even made the video. It might end up on the cutting room floor, as they say, but kind of helped him with some of that research. So when I was asked to present at the conference in Denver, I naturally thought, hey, that's what this talk needs to be about. It needs to be about this important work that he's done and kind of showcasing what he's found and how he came about it and that story. And so that's what we planned to do. And he was going to release the video that he had been working on, the documentary, a short documentary with animations to really kind of help explain the concepts and the experiments and how they worked and what he measured and what he found, all real life stuff, empirical stuff that's what makes so much sense about the work he's done, is because anybody can do this at home, with a tub of water in their sink or in the swimming pool or bathtub or whatever. These are all repeatable, reproducible sort of experiments and observations that you can make and conclusions you can draw from them. That's why it's so powerful, because it's so simple. And so he was going to bring on that video. He was also working on what we call a fluid bed. And that was, there was a contraption that we had researched and that he had built that would turn a solid into a fluid. And it was going to be sand that we were going to use. And we had this fluid bed, and we were going to be using PVC and compressed air to turn a bed of sand into have fluid properties. So we could discuss the fluid dynamics and kind of equate that to water, the fluid of water and the fluid of air that we all live in and breathe in our everyday lives, and kind of equate all of that together and compare and contrast, etc. Well, he built this thing, literally finished it probably the night or two before, he was scheduled to get on the plane to Denver, and he packaged it all up and went to the airport, and they wouldn't let him take it on the plane. They confiscated it at security. Yeah, he said he thought that they saw or found some sand, some of the sand in some of the PVC, and so they were just being extra cautious, and it showed up as silica or something like that, I think he said, in their testing, their equipment that they used to test or whatever. And that's a potential substance that can be used for explosives and all this stuff. And it was just sandblasting sand that you would buy for sandblasting. It was the same type of product. And so essentially they weren't going to let him get on the plane. So obviously he didn't want to stay behind. So he had a friend came and picked up the equipment in his bag, and then he got on the plane and flew to Denver. So it was a tough situation, obviously. The other thing that we didn't realize at the time was that he had the video on his hard drive in the same bag, and he didn't think to grab that out of the bag, so he didn't even bring the hard drive to the conference, and he didn't have it in the cloud anywhere, so we couldn't access it. So he basically landed in Denver on Wednesday afternoon, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we had nothing to present the next day. We had zero. We had no fluid bed. We had no video. We had my computer. That was it. So we had to come up with the presentation.
Wow. Amazing. And you did it.
It was a long night, that Wednesday night, for sure. And I don't want to make this a pity party, but again, my days and nights are kind of screwed up because I'd spent 3 weeks in Ireland, and so it was tough to stay up. But Noxie gets all the credit again. I mean, he was up till like 4:30 that morning, and he was building the slides, and I got a couple hours sleep, and then I went and did the wrote the kind of the narration and that sort of thing. We had to discuss kind of a format. We decided to make it like one of our shows because that's what we were used to doing. So we just kind of made it like a show where I was kind of interviewing him, and I prompted him on some things on what to talk about and make sure we hit all these points. And we had the slides to kind of have some visuals, and we did it. We pulled it off. We had something better than nothing. And then I went and got a good night's sleep on Thursday night.
Well done, Paul. I bet you were a bit worried at one point.
Yeah, it was kind of stressful. I mean, we had been planning all of this stuff for months, and to have it all kind of come crash down in the last minute and have to adjust was tough. I was stressed out, but all works out, I guess.
So what about the work that you've done? Are you going to turn that into a video or?
Yeah, and it was probably, trying to look at the silver lining here, and hindsight being 2020, when we both went back home after the conference, Noxie said that he had been in contact. I'm trying to think somebody he had talked to about something, and he realized that there was a portion of the video that he had made early in his research, a concept that he was explaining or was in part of his presentation in the video itself, and realized that he had made some errors there. And so he wanted to redo that part. So if there was a silver lining, it was the fact that it probably wasn't 100% done to the point that we thought it was going in. So he has been spending the time since then redoing, I think, some tests and filming those, and is going to incorporate that into the video. Plus, he's been real busy with his job and the work that he does. And he's self-employed as well. He's an animator by trade, film producer and that sort of thing. So he's been super busy and hasn't had the time to devote to it that he obviously would like. But hopefully we're close.
And I'm really pleased that you got your presentation worked out. That must have been very stressful. So obviously you know quite a few people anyway, but you got to meet Alex, or did you already meet Alex? Can't remember now. I think you got to meet Alex, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, boy. Alex, conspiracy music guru. He's a gem, an absolute gem. So, and I really appreciated, he gave me a shout out during his big gig, his big conference. He mentioned one of the videos that I had made in my Faking Space series that kind of, I don't know, inspired him or prompted him to look at something, and then he wrote the song "The Satellite Hoax." So that was really cool. So when he was handing out the CDs, I immediately went up to him, and I was the first one to get him to autograph it. And it's sitting right here on my desk. I'm looking at it right now, and it's a really special piece that I have to my Flat Earth collection here, that as an autographed CD by Flat Earth Man. I think he's absolutely just one of the most talented people I've ever met. He's just great.
Oh, I think he was a bit nervous as well.
Oh, sure he was. He had a lot more to be nervous about than me. So I'm not gonna pretend to understand what he went through. And but he did a great job. I mean, his performance on was it Thursday night? Yeah, it was Thursday night, or no, it was Friday night. It was absolutely great. I mean, he did such a great job, and he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Just loves people, loves making music, loves what he does. And you've seen some stuff lately. He's been getting invites, from other venues or other events or whatever to come and perform now. So, I mean, just really cool. Really cool to see potentially his career, can kind of branch off into, at least a part of his career can branch off into making and performing truth music. How awesome is that?
It is. Can I just say, Patricia's joined the hangout now. Hello, Patricia. Will she unmic?
Hey, Patricia.
She's not on miking. She might have the television on, see. But anyway, hello, Patricia. So who did you hang out with at the conference then? Because we hear stories of the parties and who was talking about who. And
I try to hang out with as many people as I can. I mean, Noxie and I, we were rooming together, so obviously we spent a lot of time, and we spent all of Wednesday night working on the presentation. But I went around, tried to make sure I got to see everybody that I knew at some level or wanted to meet. And The Horry Sheet Show. It was great to meet him. And I mean, if I tried to list them all, I'd leave somebody out and I'd feel bad. And he was the first one that came to mind because we had talked a lot and chatted a lot before the conference. So it was good to meet him as well. So a lot, again, folks I had seen and met the year before, and it was great to reunite with them. And, Karen B, I see she's in chat. She's another one that I got to hang out with a little bit, and she did such a great job with her presentation. She was on multiple, she was in another panel too. So she just does such a great job. And coincidentally, tonight on Paul on the Plane Live on Truth Frequency Radio, Karen will be my guest co-host because Noxie's is not going to be able to be with me tonight. So Karen B, the lovely Karen B, will be joining me. So really excited for that. Make sure you tune in if you're so able to. It's going to be at let's see, it's 2 a.m. GMT. So if you got a lot of listeners now, or maybe over in that time zone, it's 5 p.m. Pacific time, my time, 8 o'clock Eastern US, and then middle of the night for you guys over there in Europe.
Was it you saying that I can't remember who it was, Iron Rail Media? I think it was you though, that or maybe it was Crow, I can't remember, who's going to add time to their podcast was an hour and you were putting it to 2 hours. That was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, just last week, the show was our first 2-hour show for Noxie and I over on Truth Frequency Radio. So yeah, that was really, really cool. There was the hour before us opened up. I didn't really want to leave that time spot on Tuesday nights for me here, Wednesday mornings, obviously for you guys. But, it's right before Mark Sargent's show on TFR2. So it's just a great time slot, to have, us kind of back to back since they're both Flat Earth shows. And when the hour before me opened up, then it was offered, do I want to expand to 2 hours? So I was able to start an hour earlier now, so I can get 2 hours in as well. We were just so compressed, in an hour. And it's less than an hour anyway. It's, with the commercial breaks and the bumper music and all that. I mean, literally, it's like 52 minutes or 53 minutes is the actual time that you get. And, wanting to talk about the latest and greatest and the news and the events of the week and to take calls and interact with chat and all that sort of thing. There just wasn't time. So we're really liking the fact now that we can kind of relax a little bit and kind of see where the show goes versus trying to squeeze it all in, if you know what I mean.
You have a sort of new intro as well, don't you?
The music for the show has been pretty much the same. I mean, I had to add some
slightly different music on different things. Yeah.
I had to come up with some music for the second hour, because the second hour of the show now. So I have provided that, which the system automatically plays. The other thing that I've been doing is I started podcasting. So I'm not sure if I had been doing that when we last spoke, but I started a podcast called Dome Life with Paul on the Plane, which is I release every week. And that's not on YouTube. You'll only be able to find that on my website, paulandtheplane.com. And then I also publish those on SoundCloud and iTunes and Spotify are the three podcast platforms you can find those on. But I wanted to have another show that wasn't tied to live, and it's stuff I could pre-record and have different guests and different topics. And so, in fact, I just spent this morning talking with Patricia Steer, who I know you know well. And so she's going to be on the podcast this week. We're talking about Christmas and what that means in the truth community and things like that. It was a great discussion. She's just a lovely person, amazing lady. And then I've got some weekly segments, like Mitchell from Australia joins me every week and we chat and I just record our conversation. He kind of keeps me up to date and all the listeners on his experiments and observations that he's making. He's doing Torque the Line and he's doing some other experiments and things that are, I think, of relevance, in the community. And I like to kind of highlight those. I'm kind of finding I won't say a niche, but kind of where I like to be when in kind of being a content producer is the experiments and trying to think of a different word for it besides experiments, but just different things that people are doing that I think need attention, that people need to be getting involved in or keeping being aware of. I try to highlight those, and that's kind of where I guess a lot of the stuff I'm doing online is just kind of going towards.
Have you been doing any more experiments lately? I suppose you've been too busy, because since we've last spoken, you've been across the plane and back. Paul on the phone.
Yeah, I had lucky to be able to spend a couple of weeks in Ireland, and obviously working, and I'm not a full-time content producer when it comes to Flat Earth. I do have other things I need to do to pay the bills, but when I'm not doing that, then yeah, I haven't been doing a lot of field work per se. I've been focusing on the shows and kind of getting those off the ground. But I am happy to report that just yesterday I have acquired a P900 that has been converted to infrared, which I can't wait to get out and start using because I have got a lot of planned travel in 2019, both personal and business, and I can't wait to get that baby in my window seat.
Paying extra for that window seat. You betcha. No problem.
Yeah. So I was really lucky to come across this, a guy that had converted it, or had it professionally converted to infrared. And I didn't want to convert my Nikon P900. I mean, I still use it for, personal stuff too. And
right.
not just, I didn't want to convert it. I didn't want to buy another one. So I got a good deal on one that's already been converted. So adding a camera to my collection. So I think some cool observations, hopefully soon I can make and publish those for everybody to see.
Cool, man. Exciting. What is Torque the Line? Recently,
Torque the Line. Yeah. So Torque the Line.
I remember Force the Line. Brian Mullen.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting experiment. And Mitchell from Australia, a guy again that you can hear every week on my podcast, because we have a chat. I record at 20, 30, 40 minutes a week. We chat, and he kind of keeps me up to date on his progress. But now you got me saying Force the Line. Torque the Line. Thank you. Torque the Line is what he's done. Is he did a GoFundMe. So he proposed this experiment to the community. And it was both to the Flat Earth and Globe Earth community. And he got a lot of support on both sides that this would be a great experiment to conduct. And both sides agreed that, yeah, the results would be pretty difficult to debunk, I guess. I mean, obviously you want to repeat it and reproduce it and that sort of thing. But initially, he got support from both sides. So he put up a GoFundMe because the line that you need to use is what's called a Spectra line. I think that's the manufacturer, and it has to be of a certain braking strength. It's got to be strong so that he could pull it tight over a body of water. Now the point is not that he's going to have this line in the air, because obviously you would have the sag of the line, and so that's not the whole idea. So what's cool about this line is it's neutrally buoyant, so it is very little buoyancy it's very neutral buoyant. So the specific gravity is very, very low. And so what he's doing is he's basically laying this line across a body of water. It's going to be 2.2 miles. And he's going to be torquing it down right at the water level. And he's going to be torquing this line down. And the whole idea is that he pulls this line taut. This line that he has is about 70 pounds of braking strength. He only needs about 50 or so pounds of torque on the line to be able to get this line to be completely level and straight between these 2 points on this 2.2 mile body of water from one side of the other, shore of the other. So he's going to basically have this right at the water line. He's going to pull the line straight. And the whole idea is that if the surface of the water is curved, then when he rows out there or paddles out to the middle, that line should be underwater.
Right. I see where it's going.
You see where it's going? Yeah. So obviously there's a lot more. I mean, I'm oversimplifying it just with, what I'm talking about here.
And the ends should be out of the water.
Yeah, the ends will be right at the water level. They'll be entering the water right at the water line on each end. With the whole idea is that if there's any curvature to the surface of the water, if there's a bulge in the middle, basically, then when he torques it down, the line should go under the surface of the water. and not float on top of it.
And it should go under at 2 point, I don't know, like 10 feet or more.
No, it won't be very much at all. It's because there's
2.5 miles is what's the curvature?
Like it would be 2 miles would be what 24
feet, right?
Yeah, well, you take 2.2, so 2 times 2 would be 4 times 8, so 32 inches at 2 miles. But there's specific gravity. That's what the manufacturer calls it. There's specific gravity and a formula on what the line should do based on the water. So freshwater is going to have a different buoyancy than saltwater when it comes to the line too. So this is a saltwater lake. And he has to pay attention to also if there's there's been some rains and what the salinity level is, because he has to put it all into this calculation to say what the buoyancy would be of the line, because that has to all come into account. So he says if the Earth is curved based on the 24,900 mile circumference and the size of and shape of the world that we're told it is, then I believe, and don't quote me on this, you can go to his channel. He's got all of the specs and all of the pre-tests that he's doing, all that. It's just torque the line experiment. But I believe it's 8 or 9 inches is what he should observe at the center point of this line below the water. So he's going to be able to tell if it's on top of the water, or close to the top, or if it's going to be 8 inches. That's significant enough. And this is a body of water that is not subject to tides or anything like that, and not moving. It's not a river, so it's going to be obviously on a good day would be like glass, and so he would be able to specifically observe if the line is underwater or not, and then be able to measure it.
It'd be great if he could leave the line in the water for a few days, and just see if anything changes. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I don't know what the specifics are because I don't think there's any boat traffic there, but that's something that he has to worry about. He has to go kind of get all this done and then pull it, quickly once he gets so far. So there's a lot goes into this. It sounds maybe simple just when I explain it, but you get into you start thinking about all of the stuff he has to contend with, and having people to help him there film and do everything,
right,
is it's quite an undertaking. So hats off to him for taking this on. And then what he's willing to do is, once he's completed his observations, he is willing to take the line, because the line was about $900 US, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
So he's said that he will then ship the line to anybody else. We need to do it here in the States somewhere, or somebody over in Europe or somewhere. Somebody needs to then begin to repeat this and reproduce this.
I think Jeranism was talking about doing something similar, yeah?
I think this is the experiment that Jaron was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Because I know he and Mitchell have talked previously. So, yeah. And then there's another gentleman over in the East Coast of the U.S. His channel is Rob Fe, R.O.B.FE. He and I have been chatting a little bit, and you're going to be hearing a little bit about him coming up on some of my shows, because he is doing something very similar, but he has a line of a different material with a much higher breaking strength, I believe. He's got to contend with some other factors, but he's going to be trying to reproduce something of a similar nature here, hopefully in the spring or the summer. He's just kind of ramping up now, so stay tuned for that. A lot of cool stuff going on, really a lot of stuff.
Just to prove we're living on a flat plane.
It's really hard and that's the thing. We're kind of in a pickle here. I mean, we're trying to disprove something that doesn't exist, in my opinion. So it's really quite a conundrum.
Yeah. I have to laugh at it sometimes, man. I got to make fun of it. And it's amazing what everybody's doing, man. I love it.
Yep, absolutely. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, I like it that everybody's doing something different in it. Because when I remember when we started really sort of hooking up with you on Hangouts, you were into those slinky things, weren't you? Slinkies. Those things that go down the stairs. We were talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because that's one of the experiments that I was doing in the pool with for Noxie's video. I was playing with slinkies in the pool. Yeah, that's right.
So did you guys do you were talking about the 8-pound of air and an 8-pound weight and 8 pounds of air in a balloon or something?
Yeah. So where this all started is the first experiment he did was he hypothesized that if a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds in air. So if you think of it, you fill up a milk jug with, gallon milk jug with water and you weigh it, it's going to be about 8 pounds when it's sitting in the air, in the fluid that we live in, air, 8 pounds of weight. But if you were then to dump all the water out and cap the milk jug so it's full of air and then submerge it in underwater, how much negative weight would that create? And talking about weight in the opposite direction. And he hypothesized that it would be the exact same amount of weight, but in the opposite direction. He said it should be 8 pounds of weight or negative weight for the gallon of air underwater. And so he tested it and found out that it was true. So then he started going from there on, changing the tests and using different materials and things like that to further this. And so where it kind of ended up, and with not to I don't want to spoil it too much, but he started to equate the concept of a seesaw. If you think about two children on a seesaw, and let's say one weighs 50 pounds and is sitting on one side, that the other child sitting on the other side, in order to be able to force that 50-pound child up, how much weight would the other child need to have? And so, anybody would answer, well, it need to be probably 51 pounds, or more. You need to have at least 51 pounds of weight to create the force to lift 50 pounds in the opposite direction, using the seesaw, for example. So he said, all right, so what if I take air, and the container that he used, I believe, was a container that held 16 ounces of air. It was a 16-ounce container. So he sealed it off, and then he said, what if I submerge this in 6 ounces of water? Okay, because that we are told that buoyancy occurs because gravity is pulling the water or fluid or whatever around the object, and that's what's forcing, gravity is basically forcing this object up, and that's what buoyancy is. You look at the buoyancy equation, and there's the little g in there. So people will just automatically think, oh, buoyancy doesn't work without gravity. Well, if that's the case, and keeping in mind the seesaw example, you would have to hypothesize, at least, and I would agree with him on this, that in order to create 16 ounces of, I'm trying to remember exactly the numbers now, I'm probably going to butcher it, but 16 ounces of air underwater should weigh, let's say, a pound of negative weight, right? That's what the weight would be to create that lift. So he said, well, what if I have less than, and so again, keeping with the seesaw example, the gravity then would need to pull 16 ounces of water down to create 16 ounces of lift, right? Because that would be how it would have to work in this equation. So what he did was he submerged the 16 ounces of water in only 6 ounces of water, 16 ounces of air and only 6 ounces of water. And so the question is how much negative weight do you think he observed if there was only 6 ounces of water for gravity to pull down and around 16 ounces of air?
Right.
And the answer, it was still
we've lost
16
Flat Earth
ounces.
Dude. I just realised we've lost Flat Earth Dude. I was listening to you.
We did.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on, Paul. Sorry.
Well, the answer would be, you would think that it would be the same, that it would require, 16 ounces of water to be pulled down. But what he found is that only 6 ounces of, even little as 6 ounces of water, because that's all the water container that he could get, small enough to be able to submerge a container of air of 16 ounces, but it required less than 16 ounces of water to create 16 ounces of lift in the opposite direction. So what he's zeroing in on is a concept called decidial forces that are at work here, which is the which is the natural force that we've been able to observe now, that objects separate from the fluid that they're contained in. And that's this decidial force. And decidium is Latin for separate. So that's where he gets it. And he had to come up with new concepts, because we can't say buoyancy. He would call it buoyancy in the opposite direction, or buoyancy in both directions. But at the end of the day, buoyancy is already a term that's used very widely in the scientific community. So coming up with new terms to go with these concepts and these laws of nature that he is uncovering, I think, then he's got to come up with new terms. So that's kind of where we're headed.
It's good doing all these things with other people, though, isn't it, to help and stuff? And I'm not very mathematical minded myself.
Well, he's a pretty smart guy. He's a pretty smart guy. And again, this is not something he came up with overnight. This is something that's been kind of formulating over time. What he's having trouble is getting peer reviewed. He's having trouble getting, people that should be able to speak to this based on their education or their experience to chime in on this. I mean, he even said in the conference, if you watched the video that of our presentation, that he reached out to or was put into contact with a very prominent astrophysicist. Gravity is their thing. I mean, everything is based, all their theories and all their, everything they do is based on, the theory of gravity. And astrophysicist with one of the largest space agencies in the world. And they traded emails, and he asked for his help and kind of, was just kind of talking what he was trying to do. And the guy said, yeah, sure. Send over what you got. I'll take a look at it, whatever. And so Noxie sent him, basically his presentation or his portfolio or whatever he had prepared. And he hasn't heard from the guy since. The guy just totally shut down and hasn't responded. So I don't know. What do you take away from that?
I don't know.
It's very suspicious. Very suspicious. Yeah. You have to conclude that there's something going on there.
People are very.
Why would he has just disappeared? Huh?
Yeah, it wasn't like, Noxie just, out of the blue, just sent him everything and the guy never responded. He doesn't know if he even got it. But the fact that they were going back and forth, it's cool. Flat Earth dude, seeing you work on the violin. That's cool.
Yeah, he's back. Flat Earth dude back.
I don't know.
He's back. It's just weird that they would
broke my rosin. It's fractured stuff. Anyway,
better rosin up the bow.
I was trying to, but
nothing surprises me anymore, though. Everybody, people are nothing strange as folk. That's a good saying.
That's right. It's a good saying.
But it's annoying if you want to continue things further and you can't, or like you were going that way and then they don't reply, and you just hope, don't you? And anyway.
Yeah, it's just weird that they went back and forth, traded a couple of emails from what I understand. And then the guy said, send it over. And so basically, Noxie, he sent him everything, kind of tried to played all of his cards. And then the guy, I think he termed it as just ghosted him. Guy just stopped responding altogether. So that's just weird.
Oh. It is, isn't it? He obviously changed his mind, but just didn't bother to tell you.
Something like that.
Bit annoying when you're doing all that research and that. I do admire you because you do quite a lot of experiments yourself, don't you?
I originally I did a lot more, and to be honest, I haven't been doing as much as I have. I mean, there's just so many people doing so many great things. What I'm going to be, I think, doing is trying to reproduce some of the ones that I've seen, because I think that's what the scientific method really demands, is that, people do some experiments or some observations or whatever, and they draw their conclusions. And I think that it demands that we would repeat it and be able to reproduce it, like the work that Dr. John D over in the south of England, in your neck of the woods, Karen, is doing some great work with his observations over, in the south of England. He is making observations over the sea there, from point to point, 15 kilometers, and making measurements. Did you not hear about his the work he's done recently?
Who was that again?
His YouTube channel name is Dr. John D. And he's a PhD scientist and instructor in the south part of England. And if you haven't seen his latest round of observations, he took a 2.5 meter long PVC pipe. It was 68 millimeters in diameter, 2.5 meters long. And he went down to the end of the pier in Worthing and was set it up at low tide set it down right at the water level, looking at Brighton where the I-360 is, so he could see which direction he was pointing. And 15 kilometers was the distance, and he leveled the little tube contraption that he made with 3 spirit levels, so it was completely level, and then peered down the tube to Brighton, and 15 kilometers was able to see the down to the car lights on the road, right there on the shore, right there above the beach. In fact, even observed some lights below that. Went over and started putting this into the Metabunk calculator and saw that was even below Metabunk's refracted, hidden height. And so, these are the types of things. I mean, that the tube was, in his observation, was made 8 centimeters above the level, above the surface of the water, 8 centimeters or 15 kilometers. And he was able to see lights on the beach, on the other side.
Amazing. I know that part of the wood anyway. My mother's from Hove, my dad's from the other side of Brighton, and used to go to school in Worthing, etc., etc. So I know where you're talking about. I'll look up his channel. I haven't heard of him, but there are so many channels.
Exactly. You can't keep up. And just a little tidbit, which I was going to talk about on my show on TFR tonight. So the listeners of Sun and Moon Family United will get the first, what I think is the first time that anybody's heard of this, because I was just talking with Dr. John D last night, and he wants to reproduce the experiment, but just to make sure because he's not sure. He could see the traffic signals, the red and green lights. He could see the car lights moving back and forth, but there's lights that even below that he could see using this method. And he believes those are the lights that are right out on the beach. But just to make sure, what he's going to do is he's going to have somebody go over to Brighton with either a laser or a flashlight or strobe light or something, and be able to in communication, so he knows what those are, when he's making the observation. So that's what he's planning on doing this Saturday. And you'll never guess who that other person is going to be.
Who is it? Tell me.
It's not me. It's Roxanne, the globe denier.
Ah, very nice. Yes, we've got her coming on later on in the week as well. She's coming on Thursday with Chin.
Oh, well, you might ask her about her weekend plans, doing some observations over the sea in south of England.
Hey, cool. I will. I'll ask her when
Now you got the scoop.
Yeah.
Now you got the scoop.
Thank you for that. And the people in the chat room as well.
Yeah, I love Roxanne. Shout out if she's listening. She's great. I can't wait to meet her in this September at the events over there in the UK and Amsterdam. She
yes,
said
because
she's
we're
going to be
having
there.
another conference as well, or convention, whatever they want to call it, in Birmingham again, aren't we?
Yep, middle of September. So hopefully you're going to be able to make that, and then there's going to be also an event in Amsterdam. So I don't know what the dates of that is yet, but it's going to be about the same time. Like the weekend before or after or something like that, up in Amsterdam too. So hopefully get a chance to meet her then.
Yeah, I've met Roxanne. She came to my house.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet her. She's just a peach. I'm really excited that she and Dr. John might be working together on this. So two great people. I've really enjoyed getting to know him. He was on my show a while ago, and he's given me the opportunity to edit and review some of his stuff before he publishes it. Just really tickled that he would kind of let me tag along. And he's doing some absolutely great work. His strict adherence to the scientific method and his work is so thorough. So just a breath of fresh air in seeing that, he's a scientist by trade. He's accredited, got his PhD. He brings a lot of credibility to people that are out there actually, seeking the truth and actually doing experiments and doing it with honesty, integrity. And so it's just great to see the work that he's done, and then to combine efforts with Roxanne and all the work that she is doing with the Globe Light Tour and the circles that she's got influence over. This is a dynamic duo. I was really excited to hear that.
Anyway, but it's like music to flat earth dudes ears, all you people with P900s. I'm sorry, those things, it's like a work of art learning that camera. Well, it's everybody who does that.
Look, if I can use it, anybody can use it. I am not you learn by doing. It's got something called autofocus, which comes in handy all the time.
Yeah, but if you want to zoom in and that, you've got to be quite good on the old, different modes and stuff, haven't you?
Autofocus, Karen, autofocus.
What, leave it on autofocus?
Start there. Get used to the camera using autofocus. It'll do most of the work for you. All you got to do is tell you how much you want to magnify the image. You got 83x optical zoom, and then you can obviously go into the digital range, which, you're going to see some distortion. And I haven't even played with the P1000 yet, but it's got 125x optical zoom. So that I've seen some of the stuff online, but remarkable pieces of technology. And I think that they're making it pretty easy for us to see even longer distances than I think normally we would be able to, even with a kind of traditional telescope. And that's the thing that got me when I first got into this was, we were able to see as far as we were. That just got me to go, there's something going on here. I got to investigate this.
Why do you think they're allowing it in one sense? And then it's a bit like, like every time I go to NASA, nearly every bit of footage I look through just is fake. I can just see it myself. We've got all that nobody's taking any notice of, and yet they're giving us cameras that you can see further with. So what's all that about then?
Oh gosh, that's a loaded question, Karen. That's a loaded question. Hey, I want to mention, I was just watching the chat here. YouTube channel by the name The Ham just shouted out that he or she is 15 minutes from Brighton with a P1000 ready to go. If you could, hopefully he or she is still listening, please send me an email to paul@paulontheplane.com, paul@paulontheplane.com, and I would be happy to connect you with Dr. John. I'm sure he would really appreciate the help. That would be awesome.
Hey, flat earth at its best, helping each other.
That's right. To your question, I think people are really busy with their lives. I think the powers that should not be have done a great job of getting us to focus on things that don't matter. And there's a million things that don't matter that we as humans spend our time with. And I honestly think that if somebody checks their ego at the door, admits that they might have been fooled, and takes a good hard look at some of these images that we're getting, that the mainstream media will tell you that they're photographs from space. But when you take the time to learn and understand what they're telling you and how they're produced, and then you do the investigation yourself, I think you're going to find out that their stories don't reconcile. And that's going to cause seeds of doubt to be planted in your mind. And you're going to start a journey of seeking the truth. If you care about the truth, some people don't. Some people really will openly admit that they don't care, and doesn't affect their lives, so they don't think it matters. But for the ones that truly do seek the truth and go on that journey, are going to come to the same conclusion that many of us have.
Yeah, it's quite amazing for a lot of people. It really doesn't matter. Even I've tried to tell a few people, and what difference is it going to make to my life? Everything, don't you understand? Because, I try and say afterwards, well, once you know it's a lie, you'd never want it, would you?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I agree 100%. And in talking with people that they give me that sort of excuse that it doesn't matter, I say, well, I think that's the attitude that's dangerous, because that's why we are where we are now, is because the previous generation and the generation before that, they get so complacent, and they were willing to entertain that line of thinking that it doesn't matter. And I'm not going to do that for, the next generation. I have children, and I am the type of person, just the way I'm wired or whatever, that I'm not the type of person that's just going to sit idly by and let another generation go by where these lies and deception are so prevalent, and people are so easily brainwashed. The deck is stacked against you in this world. And, if I have anything to say about it, I want people to know that there is truth out there, and what you see every day is not it. There's a lot more to the story, and if you care about the truth, you need to go out there and seek it out. You'll find it. It's there. But you got to do the work.
Yes. Some of us are just totally driven, aren't we? Every day.
Yeah. Everybody's different. Some people care and some people don't care. Some people will actually, I think, want to remain ignorant. There is ignorance. There is bliss in ignorance. And a lot of people admit that they'd rather not know what's going on. I mean, people eat hot dogs every day and they don't want to know how it's made. They'll even say, I don't even want to know how it's made. I'm still going to eat it. That's ignorance is bliss to them. And that's the type of people that make up a lot of the population, unfortunately. And that's who we're working with out there. We're trying to get them to kind of show them how the hot dog is made, get them to realize what they're putting in their mouths.
Yep. You've got children. What are your children like about it? Do they listen to you, or are they not interested, or are they too small, or
Yeah, I've got one that's too young. I mean, she's only 2, so it's going to be a bit for a lot of these ideas or concepts. But my two other children are older; they're in their teens, and so they're ready for this. They are very receptive to it. And so we've been on this journey together, for the last 2 years or so. And just had my flat anniversary in late October. So this is a journey they've been on with me, so to speak. I mean, they were with me when I flew over to Ireland with the Bubble Level app. We were talking about it the whole time. We discussed it. We did the pre-tests together. I mean, they've been a part of these. A lot of the pictures that I would put up online and videos I made, they were there when I was taking them, and we were talking about it. It's a journey they've been on as well. So I've just been blessed to have them along the way. It's really been really cool.
Mm. And obviously your wife is a flat earther as well, then.
She is very supportive of all of the crazy stuff I do.
Oh, dearie me. I knew I was telling you about a video that I re-uploaded. I did, obviously we've got Robert Forsh coming tomorrow, and but I just wanted to re-upload that bit with the sun, when the sun's sticking to the boat. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And I have not had the pleasure of seeing it yet, so
it's just incredible. If you think that the people say, well, it's liquid, and I've seen those videos, but the thing is, it just sticks to the boat and then lets go and then wobbles back.
Weird. Well, I think it's the air. I mean, the air is a fluid. That's one thing that I think people need to really understand. So we're looking at whether you think it's a projection or a physical object, whatever. The point is that we're looking at something through a fluid, and you're going to have that distortion. It's going to look like, I mean, when you look at something underwater, it's, you're going to be able to tell you're looking through a fluid at it. It's going to be, distorted. If you look at, you hold something underwater in the pool, it's, it doesn't have crisp, sharp lines. You're looking at it through very obvious fluid. But when you look at distances very far away, you've got that compounding effect of the fluid between, of the light traveling from the object to your eye. It's going to look like it's underwater. I mean, that's how I see it. Get it? How I see it.
I know everything's got a double meaning in flat earth, doesn't it? When you start, you can't, like, like I want to explain how the Big Dipper goes around corners. It's squarish, and I have to say around.
Exactly. Good
point. And then the other one, like, air is watered down water. It just sounds about things.
It's all fluids, and that's where a lot of the focus is, I think, in the work that Noxie's doing. And again, I'm just grateful that he's letting me tag along with him, but getting an understanding and seeing the world differently about how we live in a fluid, and we're subject to everything we, all of our experiences are in objects that we, interact with. all subject to fluid dynamics. And obviously it's a lot different than water, because water is much different than air, but they're both fluids. And the dynamics of the fluid are very interesting when it comes to, the natural laws of our world.
It is a little bit different when it's on the horizon and there's water. But I mean, then the sun just looks like a lava lamp and it just sort of...
It really does.
And there's one on the bottom, and then it basically parts from that one and sort of boings.
Yeah, looking through all those layers of dense air, the fluid gets denser and denser and denser, closer to the horizon, especially when you're looking at it like over water. You've got evaporation, and things like that are potentially going on, and wind that is sending the waves up and the spray and all that. And that's all a compounding effect, as you look over a long distance. And so you've got all of this fluid that you're looking through, and you're definitely going to see the object, in this case the sun, is going to look probably much different than it does. I mean, look at it when it's directly overhead, what it looks like, versus when it's right about ready to set, or when it's first rising in the morning.
Colors are amazing.
The colors are remarkable, aren't they? Everything
goes very dark. Everything's dark. Obviously it's how the camera sorts out the light, but everything goes almost black and red, oranges.
Yeah. If you're talking about like filming a sunset, then, and you're zooming in on the sun, and you're seeing how it's sticking to the water, so to speak. The camera obviously is bombarded with all the light from the object, and so it's not able to focus on anything around it. So it's just going to make everything else black around the object for sure. That's the way the effect is, and how the camera works.
Just keep seeing Flat Earth Dude there putting strings on the violin. He's listening in there, and
I'm listening. Trying not to jump in too much here. Yeah, I'm working. Sorry, I'm so sorry, but hey, it's that time of year, man. I'm super busy. Thank you, guys. Keep it going.
Thank you, Kenny. Just saying, how far do you reckon you're going to get your camera with the infrared then?
Oh wow, I have no idea. I mean, I'll probably need to start looking into what the online calculators say as far as the field of view at different altitudes, and getting an understanding of what my field of view should be, both on a sphere and on a plane, and then start making those observations. Obviously it's going to depend on the air quality, and all of the whatever between what I'm looking at and the camera, but it should clearly make the observations better, because it's going to cut through a lot. The visible light obviously is so much different than infrared, so being able to cut down on the visible light that impedes our vision is going to be great. Now it's definitely it's not going to let you see farther. I always try and stay away from terminology like that, because telescopes and zoom camera lenses and all that, they don't make you see farther. They just allow you to see better. You're just magnifying whatever you're pointing at. You're magnifying it to a greater extent, so you're able to see greater detail. So your mind maybe thinks you can see so far, but what you're doing is just you're increasing the resolution to your eye and allowing you to see better. So yeah, in essence, I could say you're seeing further, but really what you're doing is you're seeing further, but you're seeing a lot better is really what you're doing. And the infrared should allow us to see even better, because it has that infrared technology, or that filter there that's cutting even more, cutting down a lot of the stuff that makes it hard to see, when you're talking about great distances, especially. So that's what it's going to do.
Yeah, quite amazing, isn't it? But it's just such a shame that you can only have the camera one way or the other, because that'll, unless I suppose you can put it on you can't put it on as a filter. No, you can have a detachable one, can't you? But a lot of people want the cameras.
You can. Yeah, you can. It's just not. And I was talking with a photography expert about that, flat Earth photographer, his YouTube channel. he's the one that really started, I think, doing a lot of the infrared stuff, because he had converted a camera to infrared, and we had talked about, can you just slap a filter on it like we do, like when I shoot like the eclipse and that sort of thing. I bought a filter, to a solar filter. And I was just asking, why can't I just put an infrared filter on? He says you can. And he said, but you're just not going to get, it's not going to be as good because the camera is then it's not set up for that. There's some, and he went into the specifics and the details as to why, but you got to change some things in the actual light, the sensors, of the camera need to be set up to receive the infrared light versus just regular visible light. So you definitely can just slap a filter on the P900, but it's not going to be as good as if you actually do a conversion of the lens and the technology in there to be able to receive the infrared light. That's what I was told. So that's hearsay. That's what I heard. I don't know because I'm not the expert.
Yeah, I'm just going to, I was past this video, so I'm going to mirror it. It's going to be a day of the path of the sun. Cool. From south of the Tropic of Capricorn at solstice, summer solstice, and that's going to be Australia.
Ooh.
So that person took it the other day.
I thought Australia was fake. I didn't think Australia existed.
Oh yeah, there's 3 parts of Australia, isn't it, Des? Oh my goodness, that was so embarrassing. I think I worked out what he wanted. What happened was, on that stupid putty video that he had like something like 6 million clicks, and he obviously earned some money out of it. And I think he was hoping that the same thing would happen in Flat Earth, and thousands and thousands. And of course, he's probably, he's trying to make money or something. I don't know what he was doing. He even went on 2 radio shows.
Oh, wow. That's sad. Yeah, it's like one of those things, especially at the conference, when you get approached by a reporter or something like that. There's like a set of 5 things you need to make sure you say. First of all, you disassociate yourself from the Flat Earth Society, and because they're going to immediately lump you in with that, because they don't know how to do any research. They just Google Flat Earth, and then their first 3 pages are Flat Earth Society, so they think that they speak for us. The second thing is make sure that they understand that we don't believe that we are a disk floating in space, because people will automatically take the heliocentric model of the solar system and the planets in our solar system, and then make Earth a flat disk, and everything else is the same. So you need to understand that, and that will squash some of the questions, well, where's the edge? What's on the other side of the Earth? How come this lunar eclipse isn't a flat disk? How come it's a round shadow, and stuff like that. Got to take care of that. And then one of the things that we probably need to do after all that garbage is make sure that the reporter knows that we do not think that Australia is fake. we do think it exists. And there's been many of us that have been to Australia.
A part of it lies off America. I just thought it was really funny. And that lot on the island, they don't, what is it? They have fluoride in the water and all that crap. It was just pathetic. Penguins are aliens, so are cats. The penguins are killers, and the cats, now we're waking up, the cats are going to start disappearing.
Oh,
the cats will protect us.
Ridiculous. Hey, can I say something else before? And I'm going to need to get going here pretty soon. I've got a meeting coming up, but I wanted to invite everybody listening to. I'm going to be announcing this on my show tonight on Truth Frequency Radio, which again starts at 2 a.m. GMT, 8 p.m. Eastern in the U.S. But next week, my show happens to fall on Christmas Day, so I'm going to be doing a special Christmas episode, and I'm inviting everybody that wants to record just a short audio file, and I'm going to, like 30 seconds or less. It's audio only. It's going to be played on the radio, but I'm going to compile all of the messages that I get and play them on the show on Christmas night. And, if you could just make it 30 seconds or less, just make sure you say, who you are and where you're from, or your YouTube channel name or whatever. So, we know who you are, and then, whatever you want to say. but it's going to be a Christmas show. Obviously, keep it clean, and derogatory remarks are not going to be used. But 30 seconds or less. Send me an audio file, and I'll be happy to add it to the compilation I'm putting together for the show, which will air on Truth Frequency Radio on Christmas night. So hope to hear from you if you'd like to be on my show.
Can you just repeat that one more time? What have they got to do?
No, I'm not going to repeat it. Okay.
No,
okay.
Everybody's got to call up and leave a message, and so
No, I would just say
a lot of foul language.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I just was saying that if you would like to be included in the Christmas show that I'm going to be doing on Christmas night on Truth Frequency Radio, to please record an audio message and send it to me. Preferably 30 seconds or less. Just, say who you are and where you're from, and your Christmas message or whatever that is. Just keep it clean. But I'm going to be compiling all these and playing them on my show on Truth Frequency Radio on Christmas night. And the best way to do it is just to send it to my email, paul@paulandtheplane.com, and I will include it in the show on Christmas Day.
Well, hey, do you hear that, chat room? Send Paul a little message and he will play it on his radio show.
Yeah, love to have a ton of nice well wishes and remarks or whatever, and from people all across the plane would be great. That's kind of my vision for it. So I haven't announced it on TFR yet. I'll do it on my show tonight. But if you'd like to do that, then I'd love to hear from you, and send it to my email, paul@paulandtheplane.com.
Hey, did you get that, everybody? Anyway, I know you're going to go in a minute, but it's always nice having you on, Paul. And it's always nice having you on. You're a really nice person. Always a great pleasure. And
Well, thanks for having me. I really always enjoyed as well. We should do it more often, but thanks for letting me blab on for about an hour or so. And
I stopped blabbing.
Great to catch up.
The chat room like you, Paul, and like listening to you.
Well, I appreciate it. And, I'm just really enjoying the journey, enjoying getting to know so many great people. And hopefully, people that are listening can come out to one of the meetups or the conferences or whatever. I'd love to meet you, love to visit. And I just really enjoy the community. I think there's so much good. Yeah, there's a lot of garbage that goes on, but I try to stay out of all that and just try and move forward. And this world is so much about relationships. That's what I want to focus on, is our relationships with each other I think are the most important thing. And together we're a lot stronger. So I try to keep that in mind.
Hey, is there anything else you'd like to say, Flat Earth Dude?
No, it was good catching up. Good hanging out. Do it more often. That'd be nice.
Make sure you are over on Flat Earth Dude's channel on Thursday nights for a little Thursday night therapy. Love it.
Thursday night therapy on one of my channels. Whichever one doesn't have a strike, I'll probably use that one.
Oh, you got a strike then?
I think I might have got revoked, actually, for live streaming. Playing some Disney video or something crazy. So...
Okay. Good stuff. Love to go hang out. I love to just have it playing in the background on when he's streaming. Always good stuff. And love it.
Quite funky, isn't he, Flat Earth Dude?
just hanging out. No, you're doing a great job. Flat Earth's amazing, and we'll keep it going.
That's the plan. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I'll be listening tonight. I'll drop by.
Anyways, and SAMFU wishes you a very nice Flatmas Christmas Day with you and your family.
You as well. I hope you guys enjoy the holiday.
We're sending you a hug. That's a hug from me. Do you want to say goodbye off air, or do you just want to go? Because I know you're quite busy.
I'm about 5 minutes. I'm about 5 minutes late for this meeting I got to hop into, so I'm just gonna fall off the edge of the earth here.
Oh, don't do that. Anyway, thank you very much, Paul. We'll see you next year.
Much love. See you soon. Stay flat, everybody. All right. Good night.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Oh, anyway, it's very nice of him to join us. He's a very busy person.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so how are you doing there, Flat Earth Dude?
I'm good. Let me hang on. Let me get my headphones on. I kind of got you on speaker.
We'll talk for a few minutes and then we'll end the hangout. But that was very nice. I always like having Paul on the plane. If anybody wants me to shout their name out, oh, there's Paul in the plane on the message. Paul. Does anybody want me to shout their name out? I will do it if you put your name in the chat room.
Right. Who do we got in the chat? Anybody? Is anybody watching this? No, I'm kidding. Who we got?
Here, heliocentric. Oh, he's saying hello to Paul. So we get the chat room's a little bit behind, isn't it?
Yeah, it's usually about 30 seconds or something.
Yeah, it was a bit weird because you're like talking to yourself almost, aren't you, until the chat room catch up. Oh, there you go. Martin Truelove is the real magic. Shout out to you. And Gathica's there. And
Gathica.
Gathica.
Bendy water.
Bendy water. And then we've got Let's Be Practical, who's Richard. He's there, my darling, and that beautiful big blue wrench he made with SAMFU on it.
Oh, nice.
Cosmic Cat's there. She says, see you Friday. You sure will, Cosmic Cat. Hey, Midnight Gardener. Can you see the chat room, Flutter?
No. Midnight Gardener. What's up, buddy? What's up, brother?
There's Lee in the chat room.
Lee.
Anima Animus is there. Hey, they're saying hello to each other. Here he says, dude. Richard Burke. He's a good friend, he is.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Who else? Astral's in the chat room.
Astral, brother.
Yeah. John Bernards is in the chat room. Chilster Deluxe.
Chilster, man. Where you been?
Oh, Walter's there.
Walter Williams. He's an engineer.
Is he? Oh, well.
Yeah.
What's he an engineer in?
I think a civil engineer, I believe. I don't know. He'll type it in there.
And as long as he's a flat earther, that's the main thing. And Fred Carr, Racer FE.
Hey, what's your name, man? Lewis. I'm Kenny. Do you know the Earth is flat? Huh? You know the Earth is flat.
Yes, it is.
You know that.
It is.
See, I got a flat earther here already.
No way, man.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, it's flat. It's not moving.
We're a channel here. We're flat earthers here as well.
I got there's every day, man, we get a new piece of evidence to prove that we're not on a spinning ball. And whatever, yeah, that thing right there, man, is not 93 million miles away. That's what they tell us. That's what NASA tells us. That thing right there, that warm thing, you feel it?
Yeah.
Does it feel like it's 93 million miles away?
Man, it doesn't.
It doesn't, Lewis, right?
Right.
It's not. It's not 93 million miles. It's close. It's very close. I think it's only 100 miles away. You think I'm kidding?
No. Who knows, man? Hey, did you see when that shuttle came back from what is it called? What's it called? They called it
the space shuttle thing?
Space shuttle came back. Did you see that when that happened in the sky?
Oh, when it blew up?
I'm talking about the what does it call it? It's there's something that came back that was sent out a while ago, but nobody fucking knew about it. You know what I mean? Like if you send out something out into space, why wouldn't you?
Space isn't real, by the way.
SpaceX or something.
Space is fake.
What?
It's not real.
No.
Space is not real, dude. I'm so sorry, Lewis. You can't go yet. Wait. It's not real, man.
What?
Rockets can't work in a vacuum. There's no air to push against. The rocket can't go forward.
No
there has to be air for a rocket to work.
No
it's a physical fact.
Then what would billions of dollars be going to NASA then?
Because they're stealing our money, man.
Oh man.
All right, Lewis. There's one more. Got some word today. Sorry.
Well done for flat. Who's that person? You know him?
No, he came out and bummed a cigarette off me, so I had to flat smacking him. Sorry.
I'm sure there's like that. It's always
there's no free cigarettes in flat Earth, man. Sorry. Unless you're a flat earther, I'll give you one. But you're gonna get hit, man. You bum a cigarette or ask me for money, you're gonna get some flat earth truth, man. You heard his reaction when I told him space is fake. You heard him. No, I'm not want my ball. So, anyway,
it was a bit of a shock, though, isn't it? When nearly everything has like space in it, and then you're told it's all fake.
right? So disappointing. I hung my head for a week, and I'm like, dang, man, I can't believe it.
Can I just say there's a few, obviously, more people in the chat room now. There's Grace, one Neo, Cynis. Well, I don't know how to say that one. Cynetist. Oh, I can't say it. I'm sorry. I'm tired. Alexander and Gathica. Mwah! Thank you, Gathica. Mwah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Thank you
welcome,
guys.
Flat Earth. It's Cat as
Awesome.
well.
All
Cat
right.
Nest is in the chat room.
Right on. That's so great. I'm glad everybody showed up. It's a nice Tuesday here. Working. I got to get some lunch pretty soon.
It's been a bit of a. I mean, you can't change the weather. You just have to get on with your life. But it was pretty mean out there today.
Yeah. Well, a couple more days. It'll be the darkest day of the year. And after that, every day it will be lighter for 6 minutes. Every single day it'll be 6 minutes lighter.
Yeah, but at the moment it's still getting darker by 6 minutes a day.
That's right. Until just a couple more days, and then we're going to turn the corner, as I say.
Can't wait, Flat Earth dude.
Yep. And then the summer will be here, and then you'll be like, oh, it's so hot. Oh, I wish it was cold.
This video I'm going to mirror, obviously I've spoken to the person and they said I can mirror it in Australia, saying that the sun is coming up at a different place.
Hey, you know what? I noticed that too. Dude, it was almost due south a couple days ago. It's like, whatever, 180 on my compass, man. It was almost at 180 due south. I'm like, what? This is crazy.
Yeah, anyway. He's the only way we're going to figure this out is by communicating with like-minded spirits. I'd love to hear from people from other parts of the world who seek truth. Let's get together and try and learn more about the wonderful earth God created for us. Will be fascinating to know what you see. So that's what he's asking.
All right.
But anyway, I'm going to upload it all, put his details in, and put that out later.
Karen, you're doing a great job. I know there are tough days where you just don't have it and it doesn't work out, and then there's those days you're like, you don't think it's going to work out, and then it works out amazingly, and you're like, oh wow. So
well, we are quite busy this week. You know, like I must admit, we are quite busy. We've got Robert Forsh tomorrow afternoon, and then we've got Peter and Pete in the evening. We've got Gin and Roxanne on Thursday. We've got Trinity 4, Cosmics, Kat, Andrea, and Martin Leakey on Friday. And I just Permaculture channel has got another idea, sort of, I suppose, bit like Aaron's in a way. And he's going to put a little trailer together and come and talk about that next week. And obviously, we'll probably take Christmas Day and Boxing Day off. So probably find a few more hangouts happen this weekend. But I do feel that it's so sort of, I can't explain it. It's not the coldest, but it's so mean. I feel everybody shutting off here.
Well, it's just that time of year. It's just, everybody's, it's a stupid holiday thing, man. We got Christmas and the shopping and the music's everywhere. It's just like, it just gets to you after a while, man. We would all like to see it differently, and at least not so. Everything's all about the money and the gifts and the shit and the people and the decorations and the lights. It's pretty. I really like everybody putting lights up. It's kind of nice, but
The lights are quite nice. Everybody's outside there. Like
Yeah.
I haven't even put a tree up. I'm really bad. Out there.
Hey, I don't have a tree up either. I don't have my tree up, but I might put a small one up.
Do you know what I think I'm going to do in the future? I really quite like this idea. Is just get a bowl big enough to put the Christmas tree lights on and then set them at flashing, and that would be perfect.
There you go. Yeah.
I just need something that 200 lights will go in. But I'm going to put my lights in a bowl. I can't be bothered this year, but I saw it in shop. They had all these
There you go.
the lights in, and I thought,
I have
if you get around Christmas but still want to feel Christmassy,
I
might even do it. Could find a bowl big enough to put the lights in and just have my lights.
There you go. I like the lights.
I like very lights.
And it's I have a block cylinder with lights in it. It's really nice. So anyway, it's been
lights inside. They're flashing ones better. But anyway, what were you going to say, Flat Earth Dude?
Yeah, I mean, Paul was great today having him on. Listen, he sounds really like he's zeroing in on some really cool stuff, with especially the gravity. We've all struggled with the gravity thing with these globies, and I know, and I've talked to Paul enough now, and seen Noxie and his presentation, and it was, again, they did a presentation that they had to put together in less than like 12 hours, and it was really good, and they did a pretty good job. I can't wait to see this documentary. It's really going to help us explain people what gravity, what they tell us it is and what it actually is. And I'm really looking forward to that documentary. So, and I know it's going to be pro, because that's what Noxie does, man. He's a video guy in audio. So plus he's really smart. He's scientific. He's a flat earther. He's been studying this stuff going back. He's got all the history from gravity, who came up with it, what year, what day, who, all the Einsteinian and the Newtonian and everything. It's going to be amazing. We're going to need this information, and he's putting it together for us, and it'll probably be worth the wait. And we're going to be able to help people see that they're not living on a spinning ball, and just another gun in our holster.
Well, I feel with someone like Paul on the plane, we've had him on fairly regularly. Okay, not every week, but he comes on maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
He's a friend now. You talk to him, so really it's a catch up, and I like those. It's not. I like the long hangouts, and I like sometimes it's nice just to have a short one. Yeah.
Tell us what's going on.
Catch up's good.
I like his idea for that Christmas show. I'll put together a little audio something, try to make it funny.
I'm going to have to do one from Sun and Moon, aren't I?
Maybe I'll do a song, a quick little ditty. Who knows? I'll come up with something. But that'd be kind of fun to listen in on Christmas Day to his show. And listen to everybody calling in going, Merry Flat Miss, or whatever you guys are going to come up with. Because the Flat Earth people are the most creative people I've ever met in my life, man. They have more ideas than they have time and money and everything else. So, but you guys are kicking ass. Sorry. Love it. Keep it going, everybody. One person at a time. One person at a time. We're probably not going to have a mass awakening anytime soon, but we might have some really good, strong evidence to really get people to start looking into this and doing some research. And unfortunately, if they type in Flat Earth in Google or YouTube or Facebook, you're going to get steered in the wrong direction, man. And so what we got to do, man, is just send out links to people that are interested, man. If you got a YouTube channel, make a playlist of your favorite freaking videos, Flat Earth or gravity, whatever NASA's fake, all of it. You know, if you
I
got a
like what
good one.
Martin Truelove's put in the chat room. Basically, saying he talks about the moon landings. You
Moon
know,
landing. There you
and
go. That's a
like
great start.
who filmed that?
Yeah, there's some great NASA busting moon landing videos. Obviously, Paul on the Plane has a whole series on it. There's,
The
you know,
thing is, people are all in YouTube, or flat earthers have made enough videos to show it's all fake, and still no one's taking any notice. It's ridiculous.
well, there's a lot of us taking notice. We, you know,
No,
it was
I mean more influential people, like like imagine if somebody more higher up. I know that film stars or athletes are starting to go, "Hey, it's flat," or "We're not moving."
yeah.
A
What's
bigger
that?
one. You need a bigger one.
What's that big fucking tennis player? He's
Oh
English.
yeah,
Are you kidding me? Did you see that picture of him with the flat earth? He drew it.
it's good. It's good that he did.
That was
Still,
that was
television,
pretty impressive, man.
is it? The
And yeah,
television still.
I think he put it on his Twitter or something, one of those. Instagram,
Hmm.
one of those. I don't know what it was. Anyway, fascinating stuff. No, it's going. Flat Earth's got legs and it's walking, man, and it's walking faster every day. And the more we can talk to people about it and get them to pay attention for 5 minutes, shut the dang television off, and but
I
no,
think for people who've been flat earthers for quite a few years now, like 3, 4, or even the whole of their life, it is a bit frustrating. But in a sense, if you imagine how much has been achieved in the few years since the big wave woke up, conferences,
it's
you know,
amazing.
the testing being done, the P900, the infrared, just it is quite amazing, really. Like John Smith's Globe Glide tour, you know,
there's even this crazy lady in England, man. She runs this hangout thing.
Who are you talking about? You're talking about me, are you? Oh, well, I am actually.
Is that what we're doing? I thought we were just on a phone call. Yeah, that's
It's just
great.
as well I love Kenny, isn't it? I know he's a lovely person. And anyway, you're part of this, Kenny. So,
Thank
and
you.
Patricia, I know
Thanks for having me.
quiet.
Always a pleasure. I just never know where it's going to go. I mean, I've just been super busy this month. I'm trying to get some stuff done, and it's getting done. So it's all good. I'm getting ready to, take a few days off here coming up this weekend, maybe. And we got the holiday thing and the family thing. And
Oh, what do you think about these? Someone in the chat room, John Bernhard, he's put the new mirror tests. Do you like those mirror tests when they shine a mirror across the water?
Absolutely.
I think that's a very simple way of doing it, isn't it?
It's so simple. Everybody can do this. You got a cell phone and a mirror. That's all you need. And you can go out to any body of water with a friend, drop your friend off and drive, to the other side of the lake or whatever. And start shining the mirror and see if you see it. And it's cost almost nothing to do that test. I love it.
It's only just such recently that I've started to see maybe 3 or 4 months, but we've been around all this time and they're only just starting to use mirrors now. People why haven't I don't know why we haven't sort of done that before.
I was talking with Jimbo about it. I don't know. Earlier in the year, we were talking about.
I know you need a lake, or you need a bit of land where an estuary or something. And I know it's not quite so easy, but I'm just surprised that we haven't done this before.
Well, the world record, I looked into the world record. I think it was 180 miles or something. They were able to signal somebody 180 miles away. I'm like, wow.
Didn't they used to do that at sea originally before they did the
Absolutely. Probably at sea they would do something like that. Probably communicate with different people on the other side of the valley or something, shine something at them. And I'm sure it was a great form of letting people know you're coming or you need to come over here or something. I'm sure they had signals and 3 flashes, 4 flashes, 1 flash. So they all meant something. I'm sure you come up with a code. Anyways,
Yeah, I think
so
they
many
did.
great
Anyway, yeah.
fun thing. I love the torque the line experiment. It's going to be interesting. And there will be no bulgy water. Okay, I'm predicting that. So, and any takers? Any takers in the chat? I'll give you 10-1 odds. 10-1, man. No bulgy water. Anyway.
No. Anyway, it's been a really great evening. We've been going for about an hour and a half, so that'll be fine.
That's pretty good.
We've got 2 hangouts tomorrow. Well, I have. So
yeah, I got to get some lunch.
3 guests tomorrow. So yeah, early for you. It's nearly 10 o'clock here for us. Everybody in the chat room, thank you so much for being here today. It's always nice.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you, Patricia, Flat Earth Dude, and Paul on the plane. We'll say goodbye off air, Flat Earth Dude, and it's bye on air for us. Mwah.
Thanks,
good night,
everybody. Thanks,
good
Paul,
afternoon.
Patricia, Karen. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
Bye, darlings.